I'm Robert Wonka. Welcome to another episode of A Work in Progress.
Thornbury, Ontario, 1872. The North Grey Railroad builds a bridge across the Beaver River. And 150 years later, I'm inspired to make a model of it. In the photograph, you can see the steel truss and the stone piers on either side of it. The rest of the bridge is a wooden trestle, most of which is still intact to this very day. In 1812, the Thornbury train bridge was all trestle and truss, but the shorter part of that trestle was replaced by a plate girder span, most likely in 1912. But in 1872, it was a trestle and a truss, and it had two stone piers holding up the truss part of the bridge. Upstream, there was a dam built for the mill, the Thornbury Mill, in the 1890s, and in 1912 again, the dam had been washed away. So it's possible that the stone pier, the part that was out in the water, was compromised during the washout of 1912, perhaps by erosion or debris that came off the destroyed dam, whatever. The railroad decided to replace it with one made of concrete. Full disclosure, while it is a fact that the stone pier was replaced, the reason for it and the year that it might have happened are guesses on my part. While doing my research, I read Rebecca Liu's 2011 thesis on piers, bridges, and sheds, which delves into the history of Thornbury. But I found no mention of the why behind the changes seen on this bridge. Anyway, perhaps documents exist somewhere that shed light here. I first became aware of this bridge in the summer of 2012. And we were visiting friends in Thornbury when I came upon this bridge, and of course it was the trestle part, the wooden trestle part, that really intrigued me. Today, of course, trestles are rare, replaced by steel and concrete for the most part. And for this and other reasons, I found myself drawn to paint a picture of this bridge. Before moving forward, understanding the underlying structure is key. In this particular case, I had been building a model, an HO scale model, of the Palmerston Coal Dock, which has a trestle in it. So my head was filled with things about trestles and so on and so forth. So it was really lovely to be able to stand there and look at and walk through and around and under an actual and real trestle. So let's get out into the field, take some measurements, and start building this model. So here I am, walking along the edge of the cement pier. When I say I'm going to measure this out, I'm actually going to do it by eye, just looking for something proportionally close to the actual bridge. And oh yes, I'll be learning a lot about this particular structure, which for me is fun. Now as for that girder, I need to get up there to get a sense of the distance between each plate, the size of the footing. And you can't do that unless you're right there. This is in rough shape. Wonder what could have caused it. I'll be building the model of this bridge in SolidWorks, a 3D CAD program, digital. So it won't be built like the Palmerston Coal Dock, which I made out of balsa wood and styrene. As I walk here, I'm reckon that's about 2 feet from the edge. Yeah, about 2 feet platform here. And as I walk along, 29, 30 feet, something like that. Probably about that in length, the entire pier, at least at the base. Like I said, if I can get it proportionally close to the actual bridge, that'll be just fine. Directly above me are the trusses, support beams, main support beams. And the one on the left-hand side, if I look straight up, has got a huge dent in it. Take a look at this from a different angle. It's a fact that the 1872 stone pier was replaced with a concrete one. The question is why? Well, consider my washed out dam tumbling debris scenario. Is it possible that the stone pier was damaged so severely that the truss span above it slipped off one end? Well, that's one scenario for what might have damaged the beam. Another was put forward by a friend of mine, Bob Parkin. Bob managed engineering departments of 3 different steel fabricating plants for over 50 years. He worked closely with civil and mechanical engineers and field superintendents on projects in 20 U.S. states and 8 Canadian provinces. Anyways, Bob thinks this damage may have been caused by a chain or hook from a crane, probably while lifting the truss back onto the new concrete pier. Well, that sounds most likely what caused it. Anyways.
This is the thing I'm wanting to crawl up this here, but it's friggin' dangerous. I wanted to see the footing. Right in there somewhere is the footing. Just to sort of get a sense of how that sucker sits, but maybe I shouldn't bother. Yeah, anyways. We're going to crawl up there, or at least I'm going to give it a try. See what happens.
Alright, so here I am at the footing. I managed to make it up here without killing myself. The height of this thing is about 6 feet. So let's see here, I'm 5'8" and I'm looking up. I'm saying, 6 feet. 6 feet, that's what we're looking at. The distance between each plate here to here is 60 inches. That's what I reckon about that. Yeah, 60 inches. Yeah, 60 inches between those two. And then a little narrower there, and I'd say 48. No, I'd say 55. 55 inches. 55 inches. Yeah, from that end to that end looks to me like about 20 inches. Yeah, there to there. And you got about 10 plates here. That's what I'm counting. And then 2 on the ends that are short. So that's 8 plates at 60 inches and 2 plates at 55 inches and 2 plates at 20 inches. 630 inches total, 52.5 feet in length for the girder we're looking at. And the shelf that I'm standing on, that's between 2 and 3 feet wide, upon which the girder base is sitting. The overall length of the footing is a guesstimate on my part, but it's got to be about 14 feet at the top where the tracks and the ties are sitting. And below that, given the angles that I'm seeing here, it's probably going to be about 28 feet, about that. The ties are about 9 inches square and 12 to 14 feet in length. With that, enough measuring, let's get at her.